inside a case that's locked. Now, the book can be absolutely fantastic, but unless you can open the box to see the book, you'll never realise its true potential. You're working in the dark. And I think that's what most people's attitude to Alan was. That they think, oh, this guy's good, but he's not really telling me that he's any good. I mean, he used to take 2 steps backwards as soon as the spotlight hit him.
Right.
And
yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
He was always fiddling about with stupid boxes at the kind of side of the stage that were crackling and grinding. But I think it's enormously wasted talent, really, Alan. He won't stay in a band long enough for anybody to recognise him, you know. It takes a lot of hard work to actually get most people to know who you are. I mean, okay, a lot of the people tonight at Long Beach will know that the opening band is called UK, but only a small percentage of them will know who I am and who Eddie is and who Terry is. Probably less people will know who Terry is than will know who I am or Eddie is. But then, I mean, you've got to come back again time after time after time to impress them. You know, that, yes, I'm the bass player and the singer, and my name's John Wetton, and therefore they can associate with me. Just seeing somebody once on the stage is just not a very long relationship with
People tend to forget quickly.
Very much so, very much so. Unless you come back again and say, yes, here I am, yeah, we really are a band and we're going to stay together.
Yeah.
So now you can come and see us if you like.
Yeah.
Now Alan's not prepared to do that. He'll flip from one band to another. And he'll have his sort of clique bunch of fans that'll follow him around, but for me that's not enough. I want more than that, you know. I want a sort of solid following, you know, to do something fully rather than just keep skipping about. Also to be in control of my own destiny, which is what I felt I wasn't with the bands between Crimson and UK.
I wanted to ask, the groups, especially UK and Crimson, started off with a core of 5 and it was narrowed down to 3.
To 3, yeah.
Is it anything to do with the nature of the music that you always lose some members, that the personal changing crises always happen?
It's funny, because Crimson started at 5 and went to 3, and UK started at 5 and went to 3.
Well, actually, UK started as 3. It went to 4. No, to 4. Then went back to 3 again.
Yeah.
Because, as I say, Alan, it was like a mistake to invite Alan in as a 25% shareholder, because he wasn't going to stay that long anyway. So the band really was a 3-piece plus 1.
Well, is it anything to do with the style of music that you lose the players, that they don't stick, or is it just a matter of circumstance, a coincidence?
No, it is something to do with the kind of players we are. Because you're always looking for quite high standard of play. I mean, there's so many qualifications for being in a band. When we were looking for a guitar player to replace Alan, which we thought of at first, the guy's got to be compatible on a sort of fairly sociable level. He's got to be able to play very well. He's got to be able to play music that we like and that he likes. And there's all these variables. It's ridiculous when you're looking for someone to play with. It's not just the first guy that plays okay comes and joins the band. You know, you might find that he's never been on a stage with more than 400 people before, but go out in front of 20,000 people who's going to freak the guy out, or any number of things. He might be very temperamental in the studio. You just don't know. And you're very lucky to find 3 people that can play together, I think.
It's almost like being married. You really have to find people that you're really compatible with.
Yeah. And Alan wasn't in many of those respects. So I actually wanted to replace Alan quite early on in the tour, because he refused to play anything that was vaguely kind of rock orientated. He only wanted to play stuff that was more jazz orientated. And I said to Bill at the end of the first American tour, we were going back to New York together, and I said, listen, if there was a split in the group, who would you go with? Would it be Alan or would it be me? And Bill said, oh, I'd go with Alan, definitely. And so I stored this information. When I brought it out again, 6 months later, when I said to Bill, we've decided that you're going to be replaced. During that tour, we'd mentioned to our managers that we weren't happy. Alan was definitely going in a different direction, and we couldn't see working with him much longer. And after this discussion with Bill, I kind of mentally thought, well, if we're going to get rid of Alan, then we'll have to get rid of Bill, because Bill is going to go with Alan. So we contacted Terry, because he seemed like a very good candidate for replacing Bill. And
who was he playing with at that time?
he was playing with the Brecker Brothers at that time. And
Really?
we had
Didn't know that.
meetings with managers, and we said, if Alan's going to go, then Bill's going to have to go, and we've got Terry lined up to replace them. And so we worked on that assumption. And when we got back to London after the second tour, I said to Bill, well, that's it, buddy, let's go our separate ways. And he said, well, why is that? You know, why are you getting rid of me? And I said, well, don't you remember that conversation? And I said, if there was a split in the band, you would go with Alan. And he said, oh, it's totally unfair to bring up a conversation like that in the back of a car going back to New York at 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, well, what other times do I ask? You know, that seemed like a fairly reasonable time to discuss that. And he did a bit of backpedaling at that stage, but our minds were already made up. We wanted to continue in our sort of British way of making music, European type progressive music, if you like. Bill was more interested in playing the sort of West Coast jazz music. Now, that's not our forte, as far as I see it. Bill's not a great jazz drummer either. He's a great rock drummer, and a great rock drummer doesn't necessarily play good jazz. You know, that's not,
have you heard his albums? Do you enjoy his albums?
No, not really. I must say it's a little bit too. I think the word fussy. You never get a melody in a sort of dramatic form. It's usually 2 bars of this, then 2 bars of something else. You know, I never find it totally satisfying. The idea is never taken to its logical conclusion. It's always changed too much by the time it's got there. And so you see the different. I mean, it's pretty obvious now why the split happened when you listen to the results. That is Bill's solo album and the new UK albums. We want to play rock. We don't want to play Black Sabbath type rock, but we want to play interesting, intelligent rock, progressive rock, if you like, but not jazz, and not jazz rock fusion, which is a word I didn't want to be associated with the band. I think we've just about wiped the last speck of fusion dandruff off our shoulders. Most people now accept UK as a rock band.
I'd like to ask you, I'd like to go back to your beginnings and ask you how you were inspired to play music to begin with as a youngster, and what did you start doing when you get your beginnings?
This is quite interesting, as fate would have it. My brother plays classical organ in a church. He's a choir master. And from that high, I had Bach, Beethoven, Chopin ringing in my ears all the time. I didn't realize that I liked it until I was about 6 or 7. And then it started to dawn on me that classical music was quite a good thing, you know, it wasn't bad at all. And by then I could already sort of hum most